2 miles beneath the surface of the Pacific Ocean, the water is a crushing, lightless void hovering just above freezing. The pressure is immense, a physical weight capable of imploding steel, yet in this perpetual midnight, the seafloor tears open to violently expel superheated, toxic fluids. Towering chimneys of sulfide minerals vomit billowing clouds of black fluid into the frigid abyss, creating an environment so hostile it mimics the conditions of an alien world. These are the deep-sea hydrothermal vents, geological anomalies, born where tectonic plates pull apart and ocean water seeps into the Earth's cracked crust. The water is superheated by underlying magma chambers, dissolving heavy metals and sulfur from the surrounding rock, before violently erupting back into the ocean. The fluid blasting from these black smoker chimneys can reach temperatures exceeding 700 degrees Fahrenheit. It is a crucible of extreme heat, toxic chemicals, and crushing darkness. For decades, marine biologists assumed this abyssal zone was a barren wasteland, a desert too deep for sunlight and too toxic for survival. The discovery that these volcanic fissures are actually teeming oases of life shattered every established biological paradigm. Here, clinging to the crumbling, scorching walls of the mineral chimneys, exists a creature that fundamentally redefines the boundaries of biological endurance. The revelation of this hidden world began with the Alvin submersible, a legendary deep ocean research vessel operated by the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution. Descending into the crushing depths, the titanium sphere carried scientists into a realm entirely decoupled from solar energy. The searchlights of the submersible pierced the gloom, illuminating a surreal landscape of towering mineral spires venting dark, billowing smoke. Navigating the Alvin near these active vents requires immense skill and nerve. The pilots must hold the submersible steady against turbulent, superheated currents that could easily melt the vehicle's external sensors or shatter its viewport. It was during these perilous maneuvers along the East Pacific Rise that researchers first laid eyes on an intricate ecosystem thriving in the immediate blast zone of the Earth's internal fire. Among the giant tube worms and blind crabs, scientists identified an organism occupying the most punishing real estate on the planet. They named it Alvinella pompejana, the Pompeii worm. The name is a nod to the ancient Roman city buried in volcanic ash, a fitting moniker for an animal that makes its home in a constant rain of toxic, superheated mineral fallout. The Pompeii worm is an extremophile, an organism that thrives in physically or geochemically extreme conditions that are detrimental to most life on Earth. Measuring roughly 5 inches long, it builds thin, papery tubes directly onto the sides of the active black smoker chimneys. From the open end of the tube, the worm extends a crown of bright red feathery gills to absorb oxygen from the surrounding seawater. What makes this creature an unparalleled marvel of survival is the staggering thermal gradient it endures every second of its life. The worm's tail remains anchored deep within its tube against the searing rock of the chimney, where the water temperature can reach a scorching 176 degrees Fahrenheit. Simultaneously, its head and gills extend into the surrounding ocean currents, which hover near a chilling 68 degrees Fahrenheit. This means a single 5-inch animal is constantly experiencing a temperature differential of over 100 degrees Fahrenheit across its own body. In any ordinary organism, this level of heat would cause cellular membranes to melt, proteins to unravel, and DNA to denature. Yet the Pompeii worm does not merely survive this boiling gradient. It actively seeks it out, thriving where the water is hot enough to cook a terrestrial animal in seconds. The secret to this impossible thermal tolerance lies not just within the worm, but upon its back. The creature is completely cloaked in a thick, fleece-like covering of filamentous bacteria. This pale, fuzzy bacterial coat is not a parasite, but a highly specialized symbiotic partner. The microbes anchor themselves to specialized glands on the worm's skin, secreting a rich mucus that feeds the bacterial colony. Researchers studying the Alvin submersible samples discovered that this bacterial fleece acts as a microscopic thermal blanket. The dense layer of microbes dissipates the intense heat radiating from the chimney wall, insulating the worm's delicate skin from the boiling fluid. Furthermore, these bacteria are masters of chemosynthesis. the biological process of converting toxic inorganic compounds like hydrogen sulfide into usable organic energy. As the vent spews lethal concentrations of heavy metals and sulfur, the bacterial coat intercepts and detoxifies the chemical assault. The microbes feed on the toxic soup, neutralizing the heavy metals before they can penetrate the worm's tissues. In exchange for providing a mobile home and a steady supply of mucus, the Pompeii worm receives a living shield that protects it from both incineration and chemical poisoning. But the symbiotic fleece is only the first line of defense. Deep within its own cells, the Pompeii worm possesses a suite of remarkable thermal adaptations. Its internal chemistry is governed by hydrothermal enzymes, specialized proteins that remain stable and functional across massive rapid temperature fluctuations. While human enzymes begin to break down at just 104 degrees Fahrenheit, the worm's biochemical machinery operates flawlessly in the extreme heat. These specialized proteins are heavily reinforced with extramolecular bonds, acting like microscopic structural braces that prevent the complex molecules from unfolding when the temperature spikes. The worm's cellular membranes are also built from highly saturated fats, preventing them from melting into a useless liquid in the boiling vent fluid. It is an organism engineered at the molecular level for a life in the fire. The environment of the hydrothermal vents is as unstable as it is extreme. The mineral chimneys grow rapidly, sometimes inches in a single day, altering the flow of superheated water vents, can suddenly choke on their own mineral deposits, shutting off the vital flow of heat and chemicals, or they can collapse entirely in violent underwater landslides. Life here is a constant, precarious balancing act. To survive this geological chaos, the Pompeii worm has evolved into an aggressive pioneer species. When a new vent opens up on the seafloor, Alvinella pompejana is among the very first organisms to arrive and colonize the bare, scorching rock. They grow rapidly and reproduce continuously, ensuring their genetic legacy is scattered into the ocean currents before their volatile chimney homes inevitably collapse or go cold. The sheer existence of this deep-sea extremophile forces a profound reckoning with our understanding of habitability. For centuries, science operated on the assumption that all complex life ultimately relied on the sun, bound to the process of photosynthesis and the narrow, temperate zones of the Earth's surface. The abyssal vents proved that the planet's internal geothermal heat could independently power a vibrant, complex ecosystem. Expeditions returning to the East Pacific Rise continue to map these dark oases, deploying advanced robotics and remote sensors to monitor the thermal fluctuations in real time. The legacy of the Alvin discoveries has transformed deep ocean exploration from a search for geological features into a hunt for the absolute limits of biology. Every dive into the abyss carries the potential to rewrite the textbooks on cellular resilience. The implications of the Pompeii worm stretch far beyond the dark trenches of our own ocean. If a complex animal can evolve to thrive in a toxic, boiling, lightless environment, powered solely by geothermal energy, the parameters for life in the universe must be radically expanded. The volcanic fissures of the Pacific seafloor are no longer just an earthly curiosity. They are a working model for extraterrestrial habitats. Astrobiologists now look to the ice-crusted moons of the outer solar system, such as Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus, with renewed, intense interest. Beneath their frozen shells, these moons are believed to harbor vast, liquid water oceans, potentially heated by hydrothermal vents at their rocky cores. The survival strategies of deep-sea extremophiles provide a biological blueprint for what might be swimming in those distant alien seas. The deep ocean remains a realm of profound mystery, a frontier that continuously mocks the limits of human imagination. The creatures that dwell within its crushing embrace do not simply endure their harsh reality, they have mastered it. They weave life from poison and build sanctuaries in the blast zones of underwater volcanoes, demonstrating an evolutionary ingenuity that borders on the miraculous. We are left with a staggering vision of life's relentless tenacity. The Pompeii worm, clinging to its crumbling spire in the absolute dark, stands as a testament to biological defiance. It is a creature born of the abyss, forged in the planet's internal fires, and forever bound to the wild, boiling edges of the world.